Wait, what?
Welcome to What's A Course in Miracles, Chapter 2, Section 8, The Meaning of the Last Judgment. At What, we dive into mysteries that challenge your understanding and spark your curiosity. From baffling perceptions to mind-shifting revelations, we're on a journey to uncover the deeper truths behind life's greatest enigmas. And today, we're tackling one of the most misunderstood concepts in A Course in Miracles, the Last Judgment. Forget the cosmic courtroom dramas and final verdicts you've heard about. This isn't about punishment. It's about clarity, healing, and reclaiming your freedom. Let's talk about what the Last Judgment really means. The moment people hear that phrase, their minds often jump to the Hollywood version. Apocalyptic skies, a deep, booming voice deciding who gets a golden ticket to paradise and who doesn't. But A Course in Miracles flips that entire idea on its head. Instead of some terrifying final trial, it describes judgment as a personal internal process of sorting out what's real from what's not. Think of it like spring cleaning, but for your mind. Over time, we all collect a lot of mental clutter: guilt, fear, limiting beliefs, and self-doubt. The Last Judgment? It's just the final step where you toss all that junk out and keep only what's true. And according to A Course in Miracles, the only thing that's true is love. Now, here's where things get interesting. One of the biggest reasons we get confused about miracles versus magic is because we forget one key thing. We didn't create ourselves. Sounds obvious, right? But think about how often we act like we're completely self-made, as if everything we are is the result of our own doing. The moment we buy into that idea, we start believing in a kind of mental magic, where our personal version of reality is the only one that exists. And this is where things can get tricky. We do have the ability to create, but creation isn't the same as fabrication. True creation comes from a deep, connected place, while fabrication, that's just ego building. It's what happens when we try to invent our own version of truth. And when we get too attached to those fabrications, our carefully constructed identities, fears, and judgments, we start mistaking them for reality. That's where the Last Judgment steps in, not as a cosmic trial, but as a mental sorting process. It's about recognizing what's real and what's just a story we've made up. And once we understand that, we're on our way to seeing things with total clarity. The Last Judgment. It's a process, not a punishment. That phrase has a way of making people uneasy, mostly because we've been conditioned to think of it as some terrifying final exam where the stakes are eternal. But the real reason it feels so intimidating, we don't actually understand what it means. Judgment, as A Course in Miracles explains, isn't some divine personality trait. It only came into existence after we started seeing ourselves as separate from truth, from each other, from reality itself. Before that, there was no need for judgment, because there was no confusion. But the moment we started misidentifying with the ego, judgment became necessary. Not as a punishment, but as a tool to help us unlearn the illusions we've picked up along the way. And here's the surprising part. The Last Judgment isn't some single dramatic moment. It's a process, a long one. Just like the illusion of separation took millions of years to build, untangling it isn't an overnight fix. But there's a cheat code: miracles. Miracles don't erase time, but they collapse it. If enough people start thinking in a miracle-minded way, basically choosing love over fear, clarity over illusion, this process speeds up tremendously. The takeaway? Fear is dead weight. Carry it around and it slows you down. Let it go, and you clear your mind faster, which means you can help others do the same. Now let's clear up another big misunderstanding. Most people picture the Last Judgment as some cosmic courtroom scene. Divine robes, a booming voice, a final verdict that decides who gets the golden ticket to paradise and who doesn't. But according to A Course in Miracles, that's not how it works. The real Last Judgment isn't about some higher power playing referee. It's a healing process, something we take part in ourselves, with a little help from those who've already figured it out. And here's the twist. It has absolutely nothing to do with punishment, even if you think you deserve it, even if you're convinced you've made too many mistakes. Punishment isn't the point. In fact, the whole idea of punishment goes against clear thinking. The goal isn't to make you suffer for past errors. It's to help you see clearly so you can stop making them. Think of it like this. The Last Judgment is just a giant mental sorting process. Every belief you've ever held, every thought you've ever clung to, gets put into one of two categories: what's real and worth keeping, and what's an illusion and needs to go. Once that becomes clear, decision-making gets a whole lot easier. Until then, though, we're stuck in a loop, sometimes choosing freedom, sometimes getting tangled in our own mental traps. The process of the Last Judgment is what finally breaks that cycle. Sorting the real from the illusion. It's the first step toward real freedom. And it's not some grand escape or dramatic moment. It's more like a mental cleanup job. We've all built up a lifetime of thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions. And now it's time to sort through them. Figure out what's real and what's just clutter. This process of separating truth from illusion, that's what A Course in Miracles calls the true meaning of the apocalypse. But hold on, it's not about the end of the world or some disaster movie scenario. It's actually a personal revelation, that moment when everything clicks into place. Imagine you're cleaning out your closet. There are things you've held onto for years, thinking they were important, old fears, limiting beliefs, grudges. But when you actually stop and look at them, you realize they don't serve you. So what do? You let them go. And just like that, they stop taking up space in your life. That's exactly what happens in the Last Judgment. Each of us will, at some point, take a good look at everything we've mentally created and decide to keep only what's good, valuable, and real, just like in the old story where creation was declared good. And when you reach that level of clarity, you'll see your own thoughts and actions with love, because you'll know they're truly worthwhile. And here's the best part. Once you stop believing in the false things you've created, they disappear. Your guilt, your fears, your self-doubt, they only existed because you believed in them. No belief, no illusion. And what's left? Only what was real all along. Now let's talk about the word Last Judgment. It's got a built-in intimidation factor, not just because it's been painted as some divine reckoning, but because the word last makes people think of endings, especially the ultimate ending, death. But this is one of those classic cases of seeing things upside down. If you really look at what the Last Judgment means, it's not about death at all. It's about finally stepping into real life. Think about it. When you live in fear, are you really living? If every choice you make is guided by guilt, self-doubt, or the constant anxiety of messing up, life isn't an adventure. It's a never-ending strategy game where you're just trying not to lose. The Last Judgment is what flips the board. It's not a judgment of you, because you didn't create yourself, but a judgment of everything you've made. Picture it like curating a playlist of your life's thoughts, beliefs, and experiences. Some songs, certain memories, ideas, and perceptions make you feel alive, inspired, and connected. Others, they drag you down, keep you stuck, or drown out your true voice. The Last Judgment is just the process of sorting through that playlist and keeping only what's worth holding onto. And here's the thing, that's why time exists. Not as a countdown to some distant final test, but as an opportunity to refine, adjust, and ultimately get it right. When you've chosen only what's real and lovable, fear has no reason to stick around. And that's the whole point of this process, to remove what doesn't belong and leave only what does. So there you have it, the Last Judgment, not as an apocalyptic event, but as a process of sorting through your mind and choosing what's real. It's not the end, it's a doorway to real life. And the best part? You're not alone in this. At Waywat's A Course in Miracles, we're all about breaking down deep, mystical ideas into something you can actually use. If this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, follow, and stay connected. Your journey to clarity and peace is just beginning.
Wait, what? Wait, what?